year 3 and 4, so as it says in the plan, I thought I would model to you my thought process as I'm trying to write our food paragraph. But to be honest, if I was you and I was about to do this, the first thing I would actually do is reread my letter so far, because you've been doing bits and bobs on it over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I think it would be a good idea to read the letter so you get in the style of the formal language and you can hear how it flows properly. So if you come and have a look, you'll be able to see I've got my work from the earlier part of the week. You can see I've got my address set out properly, the date. I'm not sure we ever mentioned the date, so try and remember you put your date in. I made up an address for Tom's Diner where I decided I went for my meal. And I'm just going to read it. You can see I've got my opening, Dear Sir, Madam, and my 2 paragraphs. I've got my introduction and my paragraph about what was wrong with the actual building and the inside of the restaurant. So I'm just going to read it to get myself in the flow. Dear Sir, Madam, I am writing to complain about the appalling experience I had at your restaurant last night. As a family, we were very much looking forward to celebrating my daughter's birthday and were left disappointed and quite frankly disgusted by what happened. Firstly, our table had clearly not been cleaned properly after the previous customer, as it was sticky and there were pieces of hardened food on the menu. In addition, we noticed cracks in the restaurant windows and cobwebs over the bottles behind the bar. When we received our drinks, the wine glasses were marked with lipstick. It is my opinion that this is not at all acceptable. Okay, so I've got back into the mood of the formal writing. So today's plan is to write the paragraph about the actual food. Okay, so I've got ready, I'm set up, I've got my notes of the 3 things that are going to be wrong with the food. I think you've done that bit as well. And also I've got, mine's on the laptop, but you might have it in front of you. I've got my conjunctions in case I want to refer to them, and my word bank, because that might help me with my sentence openers. Okay, so we're going to give it a little go. How am I going to start? I had in addition. Don't really want to do secondly. Maybe I'll look at one at the word bank if there's something there to help me. I think I'm going to start my paragraph with, I would also like to point out that. So, I would also like to point out that what is this paragraph going to be about? The food. So the quality of food served, my laptop getting in the way, served in your restaurant was really bad. Really bad. That doesn't sound great, does it? Doesn't sound strong enough. Was extremely disappointing. I don't think I've said that anywhere. I said disappointed there, but I think that's okay. In your restaurant. So the quality of food served in your restaurant was extremely, not just a bit, extremely disappointing. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to say the 3 things. I've got my food being cold, except for the salad. I've got my steak and the apple pie. Okay, so again, I need it to flow. So, extremely disappointing. When our food arrived, it was cold, except for my daughter's, I need an apostrophe in there, my daughter's salads. What sort of salad should it be? I think it needs to be something special because I've said it was her birthday. So my daughter's seafood salad, because we want some detail. Oh, that would be gross as well. So when our food arrived, it was cold, except for my daughter's seafood salad, which was warm. Oh dear, you don't want that. Which was warm. And the lettuce was limp. Now that's a bit naughty. I shouldn't have done an and like that. I should have written a proper and. When our food arrived, it was cold, except for my daughter's seafood salad, which was warm, and the lettuce was limp. Good, right amount of detail. I wonder if I should have added, in brackets, I could have said, when our food arrived, after a long wait. That might be quite nice. So let's squeeze that in there, in brackets, after a, because it's another little thing that I'm complaining about, isn't it? So I've done my first point. I think that's fine. Now, I don't want to say then and then. I'm a bit tempted to say gross, but that wouldn't be appropriate. That's not formal. So let's look at my conjunctions. To be honest, I think I'm going to go with secondly, because it's the secondly that's wrong with the food. Second thing that's wrong with the food. So, secondly, comma, what am I doing about the steak? My husband's steak, what was wrong with it, was tough and chewy with something to do with the fat running through it, or with fat running through it. Yeah, I think that's secondly. My husband's steak was tough and chewy with fat running through it. And then I need one more thing in this paragraph. So again, I don't want an and, I don't want a then. And it's to do with the apple pie. Let's go back to my help over here. In conclusion, no. In addition, I've already had furthermore. How about as well as this? Quite like that. As well as these things that were. As well as this, comma. When I cut into my apple pie, because I've got to be specific about things. So let's say, it's got a soggy crust. When I cut into my apple pie, it had a soggy crust and barely any filling at all. What do I mean by that? It means I was thinking that there's hardly any apple, just a few slices. So perhaps 2 small slices of apple. Okay, should I stop there? I've done my 3 things. I've said about the food being cold, but except for the thing that shouldn't have been cold. I've said about the thing that should be cold, rather. I've said about my husband's steak. I've said what was wrong with that. And I've said about the apple pie, and I've given some detail. I feel like I might, just as a last sentence, sorry guys, I feel I might add something called a rhetorical question. And that's when you ask the reader something that they're not going to reply to, but it's kind of to make them feel like they're in your shoes. So just to finish this paragraph, and maybe you could do this, you don't have to, you could just do your 3 things and leave it like that. I think I'm going to put a rhetorical question in. I'm going to say, and it reminded me, because it was here, look, we had some sentence openers here. That's what reminded me. How would you feel if? I like that, the way to end that paragraph. How would you feel if you paid... Oh, I'm going to have to turn over. If you paid good money for food that tasted so awful? And it's a question, so it needs a question mark. Okay, let's read my paragraph now. I would also like to point out that the quality of food served in your restaurant was extremely disappointing. When our food arrived, after a long wait, it was cold, except for my daughter's seafood salad, which was warm and the lettuce was limp. Secondly, my husband's steak was tough and chewy with fat running through it. As well as this, when I cut into my apple pie, it had a soggy crust and barely any filling at all, perhaps 2 small slices of apple. How would you feel if you paid good money for food that tasted so awful? Okay, so I think I've done all right. I mean, I know it's a bit difficult for you to sort of necessarily read my writing and everything, but what I wanted to show you is how I thought. I had my notes, my 3 ideas, and then I thought about my sentence openers, my conjunctions. I made sure I didn't put it was yuck. I made sure I had detail. And obviously I'm lucky because I can spell things quickly and easily. My handwriting could do with a bit of work, to be honest, couldn't it? Sorry about that. But I hope when you're writing your paragraph, you can think about some of those things. And that's the only paragraph you've got to do today. So you can give it a little bit of time. And if you need to change things and edit things, you can do that. So anyway, good luck. I look forward to reading some of them. Thank you.